Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker, what do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess, screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Clark from the logo.
Here's Haliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I thought I turned the mic off right there, and I ended up clearing my throat with the mic on. My bad. Tuesday edition. What a great afternoon here in Central Indiana. Hopefully you're enjoying that with us on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. We have a lot to get to, and I don't know how much clarification we're going to get. I am looking for a bunch of information from Chad Buchanan, the Pacers general manager, who joins us coming up at the 5 o'clock hour later on this afternoon. We were going back and forth a little bit earlier today, and I said, hey, I'm not mad at it. In the now, one of these days, what do they say? The chickens will come home to roost, and I've never really understood that. But in year number 3 and then after, that is when this situation or this failure, if you will, lack of good fortune, if that's how you want to put it, that is when we're going to thoroughly recognize it. Now, the next 2 years are going to be the next 2 years anyway. And as I mentioned yesterday, you were trying to bridge the gap between one era and the other. And have a ready-made star. And the hope was 1 or 2. Don't get me wrong. And why not? The hope was 1 or 2. You landed at 5. And as Jake and I just talked about in the crossover brought to you by Love Hitting It Air, my thought all along was if it was going to be 5, I would not be surprised if they wouldn't trade that if it were number 5. As it turned out. Now, I know as it turned out, it was the ultimate nut kick to you. Seriously, it was a steel-toed boot nut kick to Pacer fans. Like the worst of the worst. I think what made it even worse was the fact that there was so much confusion when Tatum pulled out the card with the Clipper logo. There was like this applause. Hey, all right. We made it. We did it. Without initially realizing that that's because you lose it. Completely understandable. But I still will sit here and tell you that my belief is, had it been at number 5, going back and forth with people right now, there is no way that Kevin Pritchard would do this again. Well, hell no, he probably wouldn't do it again now because he crapped out, he lost. He gambled and he lost. How often do you do the same damn thing when you gamble something and you lose? Probably not often. Maybe you do. Hell, I don't know. But normally you do what? You learn from experiences. So you probably wouldn't do it again. But the fact remains that they were on the lookout. They were on the search for a 5. And they felt that they not only had the 5, but they were going to give themselves an opportunity to do what I just said. And that was bridge the gap. Bridge the gap in the next 2 years and believing in a group, believing in a team, believing in the high-level winning. And then once that is complete, moving on and starting the, at that point, not so subtle rebuild. I have no idea what they're going to do coming up after year 2, but I have a stinking idea what they should do, what the expectations are going to be next year and the year after. I do know that, and I'm okay with it. As I said yesterday, there's no butt sniffing. There's no blowing smoke up the rear end. This is all the absolute truth. If you're going to gamble, gamble it in that fashion. I felt the same way about the Colts. Hell, if you feel like you have it right now, go for it. The problem you had with that is so many people wanted to reset the organization prior to it. What that ultimately did was prolong the agony. The Pacers don't have the lack of results that the Colts have. Everybody out there is trying to compare the two. The two are not at this moment comparable because one has done and then been on the brink of an absolute championship breakthrough. The other hasn't won a divisional title since 2014. So when you compare that, and I get it, you're always going to get the Sauce Zubac stuff. But it's not. Because one has earned the right to see where this goes. And even if the good fortune didn't come their way, and the other, you're just simply put, outside of winning, you're just sick of it all. And the one thing that you know, going back to last year, in that moment, when this Colts team was good, before Daniel Jones was injured, let's just say before the Pittsburgh game, and even, I guess, when you go to Germany, though, for the Atlanta game, but before the Pittsburgh game, you felt differently about this team. You felt good about this team. You were all in about it. And I don't blame you because it had been few and far between. And the difference here as well is that the Colts have constantly told you that this is what we're doing, this is what we believe in, and we're going to make it happen. And in the Pacers, meantime, they have sought out what they have believed in, and it's happened. All the way up to Game 7. You can't get any closer than that. And then ultimately you're compromised and you lose because of your most significant player's Achilles injury. That's it. So that's where we all stand right now, and that's why I view this differently. The one thing that I told you yesterday was going to happen, nationally, you are going to get the, hey, look how they screwed up. I'm going to go jump on board with look how they screwed up in year 3. And if I'm going to do it before that, it's going to be look how they screwed up if they don't reach the potential that we have set for them, the expectations that we have, which are immense. I completely understand. You look at Ivica Zubac, my man has to have one incredible type of season. And no question. And if you're looking for something that you feel maybe because they lost out on Sunday and you're disappointed and you're frustrated, if the Pacers owe you one thing right now, no stone should be unturned in preparation for the next 2 years, into making this team its best for the next 2 years. And that does include the luxury tax. Honestly, friends, the luxury tax or aprons or all this nerdery and geekery that I sure as hell don't understand, the hell with it. If you tell everybody you're going for it, you damn straight got to go for it now. There are no excuses. None. The only real valid excuse is going to be a team that is compromised because of injury. And then nobody's going to want to listen to that either. But in terms of the financials of this all right now, you know, Jake had asked me going in, what do you think? Are they going to go into the luxury tax for the first time? Kevin Bowen mentions, quote, I'll believe it when I see it. If you feel that that is the way that you make your team better, whatever means necessary, because nobody around here is going to listen to anything differently. Because that's all a part of also where you are. You are here because your belief in this group. And if you believe so much in this group to where, again, you end up losing a lottery selection in what is supposed to be an ankle-deep, talented draft this coming June, then you have to, by all means necessary, go for it just beyond what we see. Now, I can't calculate. I can't surmise what can be done financially, you know, what type of wizardry they can try to complete in terms of bringing guys here, but you damn straight better bring guys here. I was talking to Chad a little bit earlier today, and he goes, hey, man, let's just go at it and go at it hard. And part of going at it hard coming up in the 5 o'clock hour with Pacer General Manager Chad Buchanan is I want to know really what they're thinking. What completes this team? I'm not going to go all Jerry Maguire on your ass right now, but what completes them? What does complete them? I will give you this because of just how the compensation outweighs just getting one guy back in Ivica Zubac. And then you look at all that has been lost in the compensation. He is still a good player. He's not going to be 30 and 15. Don't get me wrong, which a lot of people are going, well, you got to be 30 and 15 stat-wise to end up making up for this. No, what you got to do is you got to win. You guys are looking at it the wrong way. What you have to do is you have to win. You have to be what you assume you were when you decided to risk this deal. That's what you have to be. And while we live in a world where we do compromise, we go, yeah, well, that's understandable. That's okay. There's not going to be a lot in terms of not reaching expectations that you can live with in the next 2 years. And I'm assuming, that's kind of a battle cry for really everybody on that roster. Like, I don't want to hear anything more about Jarris Walker. You think Jarris Walker is going to be this year? Damn straight, Jarris Walker better be something this year. If you're going to stick with this guy you have for this long and you believe in this team, then hell yes, he better be something. You better see more out of Jarris Walker than just what you think is with a 19-win team that, simply put, doesn't really care about winning a year ago. Same thing holds true with guys like Ben Shepherd. Now is the time for everybody to reach their high water mark, or this thing is going to look bad. And there's going to be no complication there. It's going to look bad. You are going to have all hands on deck with all these guys. I don't want any further discussion. And I know the first thing that comes out is, well, it is going to take a year for Tyrese Haliburton to come back and be Tyrese Haliburton. Hold on. I got news for you. You don't have a lot of time for Tyrese Haliburton to become Tyrese Haliburton again. You better expedite the process. I'm not suggesting in October or November or December. But Tyrese Haliburton is going to have to show us Tyrese Haliburton. Now, the great thing about Tyrese Haliburton and what I love the most about him and why I believe in him so much is in a league of individuality. When you look at individuality and you go, well, this guy is good at scoring and he's great at rebounding and he's high volume scorer. In a world of the individual star, Tyrese Haliburton is a star that makes everybody better. There are not a lot of dudes. Like, who's comparable? Oh, I know he doesn't score 30 a game. I know that he doesn't give you 12 rebounds a game. But who's comparable in making everybody better? And I'll put it to you even more. Look at those that remain. You do have your superstars, don't get me wrong. Victor Wembanyama, whatever the flavor of the day is for the Knicks. Kind of want to say Cade Cunningham, but what a joke that was last night. Yeah, that's great. You'd be really scared about the Eastern Conference with that jack factory that's going on right here. You guys watched the Pistons last night? Good Lord. Hey, they were better when their dudes were on the bench. Well, they only lost by 9 in Cleveland. Yeah, their guys are on the bench. Gerald Sasser was knocking down threes late to keep this thing as tight, I guess, as ultimately it was. Very few make everybody better. And that is the good fortune, and that is the belief that I have in Tyrese Haliburton. You know, one of the reasons why I was bummed, or the reason why I was bummed about this deal in particular, is because I like Benedict Mathurin a great deal. I like Benedict Mathurin and his attitude. Benedict Mathurin, more than likely, was not going to be back here. He's going to be someplace else. Yeah, I don't know about the fit. See, when people talk about, well, he just doesn't fit because they have an idea, then he has an idea. I've always drawn the conclusion that if you're a good basketball player and good what you do, then it is the obligation of the organization, of the team, of the coach to get your ass to fit. That's me. Now, that could be impossible. Maybe that's impossible. But that was always my thought. And I was disappointed when he left. I understood why he was a part of that deal, but I was still disappointed in that deal. However, with Tyrese Haliburton, it is different. While I look at Mathurin as kind of a single-minded focus, all he wants to do is win and go get his for his team, and, you know, doesn't have a lot of friends, and is not hugging and kissing and slapping five and hanging around and, you know, talking to your friends with your hand over your mouth before and after games. So nobody can, all that crap didn't matter to him, and I love that. But with Tyrese Haliburton, what I love the most is he makes everybody better. And as I mentioned, the greatest example of that is what he transformed Myles Turner into. And as much as you make fun, as much as you think he's a joke and he was awful, and in Game 7 he was terrible and the reason why they lost, he was a vital cog to a finals team because of Tyrese Haliburton. And all you got to do is look at what he was prior to that. He was standing in the corner, and he was an innocent bystander of a team that wasn't any good, an offense that didn't come correct. And then when Haliburton got here, everything changed. So why not Zubats? Zubats is the better individual talent. Why not Zubats? And that is why I am firmly in the position of a belief in a 2-year window of understanding and winning, even if you're coming back from an Achilles injury, even if you're coming back from having shingles, even if you haven't played, and I guess interns are blowing by you in these 5-on-5 pickup games, whatever. I have a firm belief in Tyrese Haliburton and what he does to make everybody around him even better. And that's why I have this 2-year belief. And that's why I have suggested that while it sucks that you don't have a lottery selection because you're a 19-win team, and, you know, beyond tanking, it was legit. They sucked. They weren't any good. They probably wore out Pascal Siakam the entirety of the year when he did play, and they were awful. They were deserving of a lottery selection, but they gambled that. You know, I was deserving of a paycheck too, but then when I go out and gamble it and I lose, I can't go, oh, well, give me that back. No, give me that back. It's like white men can't judge. Yeah, give me my money back. Now, you gambled it and you lost. But part of that gamble was believing in who you are right now. Believing who you are in the present. And they do. And I would happen to agree with that assessment. I believe who they are in the present. For all the reasons as I just explained. All right, 239-1070 is that number. I owe some calls from yesterday, James. So if you want to slot those folks in that were left on hold, I felt bad about that, but what are you going to do? Greg Rakestraw, 4 o'clock hour now. He had to move from 3:30 until 4. James gives me the thumbs up on that. And Pacers general manager Chad Buchanan, we've got a lot to discuss. That is coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. My advice to you is not to miss a second of anything. That would be jackassery. Don't do it. We also have your chance at 500 tickets a little bit later on. Man, the news from Brandon Clark at 29, no cause of death was announced, but the 2019 first round selection, a 7-season NBA player out of Gonzaga. I want to say that he started initially at San Jose State, but I remember him. That was at the time when my kid, unlike like the Montreal Canadiens right now, my kid was all into Gonzaga. He was much younger, and I had to watch all these West Coast Conference games every single night going, what in the hell is happening here? And Brandon Clark was one of the players that initially that I was introduced to. Very good player, athletic, kind of worked his way up to not a big recruit to an NBA player. And the news was reported earlier today that he has passed away at the age of 29. Which is an awful story. Well, NBA conversation coming at you a little bit later on. That is incredibly sad. But I enjoyed watching him play. He was very athletic. And the thing that I caught from the game of Brandon Clark, not only at Gonzaga, but then once he landed with the Grizzlies in the NBA, is he left it out there. He went at it and went at it hard. But 29 to pass away. Absolutely brutal news today. We'll get into that a little bit later on. I think Bobby Marks, later on this week, he can also explain to us exactly what is going on or what he would anticipate decision-making-wise from the Pacers. We're going to be at O'Reilly's and Speedway coming up on Friday. Now, do we have any other drivers that won't show up on the show today, James?
Not at the moment.
I didn't mention that to Jake, and I'm not mad at anybody. I know that everybody, I'm assuming, is busy. However busy you can be not to pick up the phone and talk for 5 minutes. I mean, but this would be a thought I would have for all the race teams out there, and not so much for IndyCar or IMS, because they work hard to get you people. But you want to be as out there and as noticed as possible in the month of May. So I know that I don't matter, but when I or another show at this station, when they call, just get your ass on the show. Get your word out there, because the problem that you're going to have once we get clear of the greatest spectacle in racing, it doesn't matter as much anymore. And I've never really understood. For example, I like Felix a great deal, James, but Felix not showing up yesterday is not good. I mean, God.
Now, from what, again, he may have had dad duties come up, so
well,
I'm not sure about
somebody from Meyer Shank needs to call and go, hey, he had dad duty, because that looks bad. And in full disclosure, there's not a big crap given outside of this month of May, so take advantage of it. It's like with Eric Shanks, who is the guy that runs Fox. Get your ass on the show here, for God's sake. Talk about your product a little bit more, and especially talk about it to those where it really, truly matters. Let me hit even more of a mark where it truly I have never understood that. Now, I've said the same thing about the Pacers, and Chad comes on here whenever I call Chad. But this whole season, that was a 19-win season, they should have had all these guys that you may never hear from again on the show to introduce them, to talk them up. Hey, here's what these guys are doing. And a shout out to Rick, because he comes on with the morning show, for the most part, weekly. And that is by design from Rick Carlisle, the head coach of the Pacers. That's savvy. And it's funny, too. as much as we make light of the Colts for not delivering results and everybody being disappointed, Matt Conti, seriously, is the absolute best because win, lose, or draw, whether or not we're critical or patting on the back, they are always right here. That is that's the way you have to be in this particular market. And I think a lot of people could learn from Matt Conti with that in mind, too. This is how you get your product out there. Sometimes you have to face the consequences. Hell, other times, most of the time, you're talking about how great everything is. And then you're sharing some bits and pieces of your life, and you find a common bond with those listeners out there that are also fans. So that would be my advice to Meyer Shank Racing. Not that they need it. I'm sure that they don't. But once we get to the end, we conclude the month of May, then you're going to be out of sight, out of mind. You need to be in mind in the month of May and not whiff on a scheduled appearance. I wouldn't. That's just me. 500 tickets for you, James. Hey, I have got your location coming up, not only the night before the 500, but the weekend of the 500. Braun's Funtime Campers has us out there. Austin Braun's got us all set up. My friend Doug Wiggin went out and purchased another generator, so we're all going to be good no matter what the weather is going to be. And knock on wood here, apparently the weather is going to be a hell of a lot better. Now, any weather could be better than it was a year ago because it was terrible. Braun's Funtime Campers on Pendleton Pike. Ask for Austin Braun. Man, get yourself set up for something fun in the summertime with a Braun's Funtime Camper. All right, last night's NBA. You want to say it was interesting? If that's as interesting as you're going to get, good luck with it. MLB, we got for you as well. All that and more coming up. Greg Rakestraw, top of the 4 o'clock hour. Pacers general manager Chad Buchanan is going to join us coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. The Hensley Legal Group Command Center. It happens. Hire Hensley. Do not go anywhere. The stream, the app, and HD radio. I don't think we're ready for the weather, are we? See, those guys got to be on time, too. While I'm ripping everybody, I'm going to have to rip them. We've got to have the weather, although I could just tell you, it is sunny and blue sky. This is a magnificent Tuesday in central Indiana. There's your weather update with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Great idea for you if you're thinking about losing the weight, getting into better shape. It is Thomas, it is Lauren, it is Samantha, it is the gang at Premier Weight Loss with an open house coming up on Thursday as well. I'm going to drop by there before I start this show. But it's GLP-1 weight loss injections right here in Indianapolis. And a lot of you are going to say, well, why do I want to do that? Well, you don't have to do that. But if you want to get yourself a template to get started and then do the work alongside, I am the greatest example of all time because I didn't want to do, and James knows this, I didn't want to do jack squat. And then I got motivated from the GLP-1 weight loss injections and my friends at Premier Weight Loss. I wanted to hit those goals, and then I felt better. And then the things that I couldn't do prior, I could do again at the age of 56. I have not felt better since I did when I was in my teens. That is thanks to fully Premier Weight Loss and their 2 Indiana area locations here. 317-643-4444. That's PWLindy.com. So my advice to you, get started on your very own weight loss journey today. Now, if it's something cosmetic you're looking for treatment-wise, maybe it's the electronic toning, maybe it's Botox, maybe it's skin tightening, all they can do, multifaceted at Premier Weight Loss. But if it's about the weight loss, as we get started in the summertime coming up here, you can do it right now at pwlindy.com or call them and tell them I sent you. 317-643-4444. The best part about it is so many deals going on in the month of May to get started for a great price tag. 317-643-4444. And by the way, JMV Sucks cottage cheese T-shirts for Carb Day also on the inbound with our friends from Premier Weight Loss. That's pwlindy.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
I don't understand a word you just said.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Dead air here, James. What the hell? Do I have to sing it myself? Do I need to bring us back in myself right here? What's going on?
My Spotify froze.
Spotify froze. I don't know.
Here we go.
I'm going to have to stay. 5 seconds later, that's a hell of an re-entry right there. Well done. Carb Days coming up a week from Friday. Get your tickets, ims.com. I was talking to Hammer and Nigel before the show, too. We're going to be staked out in our RV across basically the yard of bricks. Lot 6 across Georgetown. So you guys feel free to come over and join us at any time, but Carb Day is going to be spectacular. ims.com. Switchfoot will open up for Adam Duritz and Counting Crows. Get your tickets now and join the party with us. I promise you, one hellaciously awesome time. And you know this to be true. I deliver. I'm not jacking around with you. I'm not telling you stuff. No, it doesn't happen. No, we have one hell of a time. Week from Friday. And by the way, Carb Day this year, we are going to do a crossover show. From 10 until noon, it is going to be this station or stations, 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan. Signals, I should say. And then 93 WIBC. All of us together, me and Hammer and Nigel, for a very special 2-hour Pagoda Plaza, incredible atmosphere pre-show for our shows. 10 until, I know, which means I got to get my ass out there incredibly early. You're right. But it is going to be a blast. And the best part about this, just unless you are a tremendous jackass, and I'm assuming most of you out there aren't, you know my criteria. Unless you are, this is all inclusive fun. Pagoda Plaza, we'll go to the show together, hang out. You know, one of the great things about a year ago with Bret Michaels was also all inclusive. He brought veterans onto the stage, a lot of the listeners to this show. I know Derek went out there. BT Dew was out there, went out on stage and was recognized. What is kind of weird about this whole thing is, I don't know, James, have you noticed that we haven't had anybody from Counting Crows or Switchfoot on, which is just a tactical error by the bands, but whatever.
Still no, I thought we were supposed to get them on at
I've
some
been
point.
waiting for like 2 months now. And it is a tactical error because we will bring the folks that like you to you. We'll Pied Piper them to you. That's what we're all about right here.
Seems like you need to start pestering Doug Bowles a little bit.
I don't know it. Maybe it you ever get anything back from Meyershank Racing regarding the Felix Rosenquist no-show yesterday?
The last I heard, they were going to try and reschedule, and I have not heard since.
It's a good thing I like him, because otherwise I'd say, who the hell cares? Don't reschedule it. But I like him a lot. He's a little pipsqueak of a dude, and I like him a great deal. Otherwise, I go, who cares?
I did get their compliments on your interview with Marcus yesterday.
I love Marcy, and that is what this is all about. And people think it's about, hey, racing and the nuts and the bolts. It's not about that. It's about presenting personalities that maybe you don't know a great deal about.
Well, he was kind of coaching you up about life and just all sorts of deep introspective things yesterday.
Look at me, man. I need coached up about life. I'm a mess. He was great, and that's exactly what we try to bring. That is another aspect, and this is a personality trait or aspect about these guys, or Catherine Legg, if she wants to come on the show too, that you normally would not hear or would not recognize or would not know. See, Jake is really good. When you have trackside with Kevin and Kevin, they're really good about breaking things down in terms for the hardcore racing fan, open wheel racing fan. Yeah, I'm not. I will stay in my lane on this, but we can have ourselves a fun-loving conversation, and I will help make this person even more interesting to you unless they just can't do it. But you got to show. No doubt about that. JMV, this is off the text line of 317-239-1070. Can we just watch a competitive game with a much better big guy than the Pacers had since Smits before we shovel dirt onto the brass? And shooting 30% from three and blocking the occasional shot doesn't make Myles a great player. Thank heavens they didn't pay him what the dumbass Bucks did. Listen, the biggest deal about that, this is twofold right here, Nick. One is Myles goes to a place without Tyrese Haliburton. Now, we probably all would do the same because he got paid and got paid handsomely to do it. And he was wanted. He felt wanted. I'm going to go to a place that wants to win and they care. And they had the suckiest season out of really any team out there, the most disappointing season out of any team out there. So it certainly didn't live up to any of his expectations. And what he should have known, and maybe what he did not know going into this, and this is where, getting shown the love and the money aspect of it can cloud your vision or your thought process, is that the reason why he was any good at all was because of Tyrese Haliburton. Nothing against him, but it's true. The reason why he was any good at all was because of Tyrese Haliburton. You didn't see that out of him prior to Tyrese Haliburton. You didn't see that out of him after Tyrese Haliburton. That is the entire reason. And we talked about that. We predicted that. I liked Myles when he was here a great deal. I mean, hell, I was the one that defended him all the time. But I knew as well the reason why he was able to produce in the categories that you mentioned. And I will also tell you this, Nick, it's beyond, the 30% from three or the lowering blocks per game stat. Here's what also matters. Teams have to game plan just for the threat. He is the threat at both. That is what you lose more than anything else. And let's face it, it's been a layup line without him. And he's the one that probably should have recognized that more than anything else. Like, to me, I think the Pacers will get along and will thrive with Zubats as the new five. I don't think Myles gets along and does anything near what he did while he was here, produce while he was here, without Tyrese Haliburton. I think that's one of the easier basketball things to recognize out there. Tyrese Haliburton made him. It's okay. Hey, listen, if my stats are up, I want to be made by somebody. Make me. Make me better. It's great. But clearly Myles was made better, and Tyrese Haliburton will make Ivica Zubac better. I don't know if he's ever going to be somebody that's going to be a threat from distance or anybody that's going to be an ample rim protector, but he is still a good defensive player, and he still offers up a lot of the aspects for a big. He is a very good big in the NBA. And the leader of this team, I feel very confident, will make him even better. JMV, have me on the show. I'll give you some good content. Drew and Avon. Well, Drew, you don't even have to get booked on the show. I mean, your ass can just call in at 239-1070. You don't need to be booked. Eric says, easy, JMV, don't get butthurt. Was I on the fringe of butthurtedness right there? I might have been. I don't think I was. I was just saying this is not how you do it. It's not. Got to be better. And I think part of butthurtedness is lobbing stuff in that's untrue. What I said is all very much true. You know, once you get further down the road, then people are going to go, yeah, I don't really care about that. Just take advantage of when people really, truly care. Right then and right now. Hey, we're on the inbound to Fast Friday and qualifying weekend. And I mean, hell, we just ran half a dozen cars off the course on the Sancio Grand Prix. Let's get on there and talk about that. Armstrong came on yesterday and talked about, fighting with Grosjean. His last fight. And just show your personality. Maybe you don't have fans that you create fans for. It's just what we're here for, too. So I don't know about the butthurtedness of that, but you might be a little bit right. You can't schedule and bail. JMV, I've been a huge NBA 2K fan forever, and your description of Myles Turner is 100% spot on. Turner before Haliburton was a 79 rating. Now, granted, Rob, shout out to you. I have no idea what you're talking about here, but it speaks volumes about backing up what I said, so I believe it. Turner before Haliburton, a 79 rating. Turner with Haliburton, an 84 rating. Turner right now with the Bucks, a 78 rating. The Haliburton effect. Zubac right now, 85. Zubac played Zubac played, can you imagine, with James Harden. Zubac in L.A. was just going to get scraps. He was picking up the pieces. There is no focus whatsoever. There was really no care. Those games when Kawhi Leonard actually played, felt compelled to play, and then having to play with James Harden. And, I mean, they had three dudes on the lineup that couldn't score a lick. He was going out there to get scraps. So this is going to be drastically different. Gutshot says in 2026, you would think streaming wouldn't be that hard. We tried. Hey, is Evan not coming in today? Oh, bummer. That's too bad. I completely, Rob, agree with that assessment. JMV, a lot of points here that I don't agree with. Entire strategy, worst trade. Also, he was no way apologizing for making the trade, but for how it turned out. Empathy, at the end of the day, we'd rather have Zubac with this team than the number 5 and Mathurin. Future be damned. I can't completely say that about Mathurin because I'm a big Mathurin fan. However, I feel compelled to tell you that number 5 may have been a goner if they would have been able to secure that anyway. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just telling you what's real. Because we talked to Chad Buchanan going back a couple of weeks ago, and you kind of wondered outside of the top 2 if maybe they wouldn't shop that around. And again, those are assets that they don't have right now, and I get it. But what I want to know is, while you're soaking in it, what can you do? And while you went for it, and you lost out in the draft lottery, what can you do right now? And you've got to go all the way. I'm going to start giving an honor, a Tim Matheson from Animal House speech here if we're not careful. You've got to go all the way on this. Luxury tax be damned. You got to do what is best for the next 2 years, because that is where we're going to gauge the results compared to the failings and the lack of good fortune on Sunday. That is going to be how we level this. And if it isn't, that's when in year number 3, it's going to be problematic. See, none of this was worth it. It has to be worth it. Rakestraw, 4:30. Chad Buchanan, 5 o'clock. These are can't missers coming up. The Hensley Legal Group Command Center. It happens higher Hensley. What is a glorious Tuesday going on outside here in central Indiana. I've seen some weather forecast. I'm going to knock on wood. I'm hesitant. But we're looking like we need to be coming up here, rounding into shape as we get closer and closer to race weekend. O'Reilly's coming up on Friday. I'll give you the details on that. You can join us in Speedway. I would love to see you out there. JMV Takeover, Bronze Fun Time Campers. Lot 6. You guys have that location, Lot 6? And this is open to everybody. You can bring chairs. You can bring blankets, beverages, fun. And you think, James, you think I'm creating the world's biggest sausage fest with this right here?
I mean, it's not a heavy metal concert, so I think that still will have you beat. But,
yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go see, what? Lamb of God.
Lamb of God.
Lamb of God's the world's biggest sausage fest. I just don't want the JMV Takeover to be the world's biggest sausage fest. I don't want it to be like in the 1990s and when you'd go to just a random fraternity party at Indiana State, it'd be all dudes punching each other in the arms.
You would know better than I.
I do. I'm sorry, Indiana State, but all your frats, it was nothing but dude parties. What the hell was going on there? It's a good thing you had me there in the early 90s. The Pike. I always used to rip on the Pikes, and they'd all get mad. I'm sorry, guys. All dude parties. What do you think we do not to have a complete and utter sausage fest coming up on race weekend at the Bronze Fun Time Camper? Is there any way around it? Or is it just because we get a lot of dudes on this show?
I think it's just because we get a lot of dudes on the show.
You're right about that. Spread the word. We'll be there all weekend long coming up next weekend with the Bronze Fun Time Camper, but the JMV Takeover is going to be the all-request Saturday night. Me and DJ Skids, they're live taking your request. Lot number 6 right across Georgetown Road from IMS. It is going to be a blast. All right, a little MLB. I know we've got one NBA game later on tonight and 2 from last night. Yeah, that was your 1 seed. You guys see that act in Cleveland? Yeah, the backups, guys haven't played in forever, were better than the starters down the stretch. Quick break, we'll come back with that. Rakestraw, Chad Buchanan, still to come. Don't go anywhere. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John here, and I have a tremendous idea for you. If you have noticed that the paint on your home, or maybe it's a commercial building, is peeling, and now you got to do something about it, Let's make this easy in the moment and make it easy for the future and go with Rhino Shield, a ceramic coating specifically formulated for the unique climate around here, too. It's going to last. You'll never have to worry about painting again, and you're going to get a 25-year transferable warranty with that to back it up. Virtually any color. You just simply put, don't have to mess with this ever again. There is something to be said about that. And the great part about this offer is that it's in the moment, and you're listening to me, and with your home, or maybe it's a commercial building, you can do something about it and save. Here's what I want you to do. Call Rhino Shield today. That's 888-RHINO-41. Mention my name. Get 15% off the regular price and something, as I love to say, you're just not going to have to jack with. You won't have to do it, and you're going to get a guarantee to back it up with Rhino Shield. 888-RHINO-41. Mention my name. Get 15% off the regular price. That's rhinoshield.in.com. Residential and commercial, don't paint, no vinyl, go Rhino, and never paint your house again. That's Rhino Shield. Back in the 90s, there was a great backup tune to the song Jump by Chris Cross called Warm It Up, Chris. I'm about to. Warm it up, Chris. So the temperatures around here are going to warm up. You want to make sure you stay cool and comfortable in your home. So, yeah, don't warm it up. Stay cool, but make sure that your system is working efficiently with Love Heating and Air at 317-353-2141. Get your system checked up today. Get an efficiency test and find out if you need a repair. And if you do, mention my name. Tell Ron, who's just an incredible technician, who's probably going to be out there with you, or at least one of their elite level technicians, and tell them that JMV sent you. You're going to get $144 off a repair with Love Heating and Air, a Heil dealer. 317-353-2141. That's Love Heating and Air, a Heil dealer. We can warm it up on the outside, but you want to stay cool and comfortable on the inside. And again, any repair, mention my name, $144 off the service fee. Call and ask for Kendra right now. 317-353-2141 online, love-hvac.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
Thank you for your support.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hensley Legal Group Command Center and Happens Hire Hensley. The NFL schedule release for the Colts. That is, you got it, fellas. Coming up on Thursday. O'Reilly's and Speedway on Friday. Details coming up. NBA action tonight. Timberwolves Spurs, Western Conference semifinals, tied at 2 games apiece in San Antonio. That tip time is at 8 o'clock. Did LeBron James' career end on Amazon Prime last night? What? Amazon Prime. So you get swept in 4 games right there in front of, who'd you have in the front row there? DiCaprio, Sean Penn, and Eve from Entourage was right next to him, too. 115-110 was the final. Thunder moving on to the Western Conference Finals with a 4-game sweep of the Lakers. LeBron James' career over on Amazon Prime?
I don't think so.
Good
I think
Lord.
he comes back.
So, is this true? Our Chamber of Commerce, James, can you look this up? The Chamber wants Indy to be known as Speed City.
I saw that, yes.
So they didn't take in consideration Arousanapolis, as I presented.
It seems like that didn't make the cut. I don't know if that's any worse though than Speed City, because Speed City kind of makes it sound like we have an amphetamine problem around here.
Speed City, that wasn't well thought of. First of all, it's the Circle City, and that's it. And that's
absolutely.
that. But Speed City sounds really stupid. I will say this though, James. Shout out to Arousanapolis. I don't know how in the world, what kind of geeks and dorks are on this chamber. See, again, another example of committee. There's only one good committee. We all know what that is. One good committee. Arousanapolis. Oh, I'm sorry, Arousanapolis. God, that is so good. We're all aroused because we're here. It's Arousanapolis. Yeah, stick with Circle City, Speed City. It's just so forced. Hey, we got to come up with a nickname right. That's like all nicknames with athletes. Got to come up with one right now. Quick break. We'll come back. Me and you on the other side. Rakestraw about 20 minutes away. Pacers general manager Chad Buchanan in a conversation you will not want to miss, Pacer fans, at 5. It's 93.5, 107.5, The Fan. Hey, the best in realty, you got that right. It's my friend Mark Dito, Mark Dito Realty. MarkDeedle.com today. Why? For a variety of reasons, because there is nobody better at MarkDeedle.com to get done what you need to get done than Mark Deedle and Mark Deedle Realty. Where do you start? Maybe you're downsizing because you've got a son or a daughter that is moving out. Is after graduation going on to college, maybe after college graduation moving on to a career, 317-755-4232. It's MarkDeedle.com today. In fact, so good at adjusting to whatever you need at the elite level. Mark Deedle's the only real estate expert I trust and recommend with the sale of my home. Mark Deedle guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. So whatever you need, if you need it right now, 317-755-4232. That's Mark Deedle. If you need it further down the road, file this number away. Mark Deedle, 317-755-4232. MarkDeedle.com. MarkDietel.com today. Best in plumbing, LD Smith Plumbing and Drains at 317-927-7186. Hey, let's make sure that everything is good to go in terms of your sump pump and your battery backup. Great deals on that going on right now. And really anything in plumbing, you've got to make sure you focus it on Lance and his local team at LD Smith Plumbing. 317-927-7186. Online, that's ldsmithplumbing.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
I got nowhere else to go.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Chad Buchanan, less than an hour from now, the Pacers general manager is going to be here. We're going to go through all of the disappointment on Sunday and then what you're going to do to be proactive, because the next 2 years are the most important that we have seen around here and forever. Chad Buchanan, less than an hour away. Greg Rakestraw, bottom of the hour. Practice is going on at IMS. We've got track updates going on with Brendan King, as you just heard right there. The Hensley Legal Group Command Center. It happens. Hire Hensley. That is our location. And if I missed you yesterday, 239-1070. Because I know you guys had comments and commentary about Sunday and the lottery and the Pacers' direction and the misfortune of not getting that pick. And what I had talked about, and it was backed up by a couple of, how should I put this, jackassish comments or commentary itself revolving around Pacers team president Kevin Pritchard and his apology, where it wasn't sincere, or he was apologizing about the wrong thing, or we all know around here he just felt horrible because he gambled and he lost, and he knew exactly how you guys were going to feel about it. And maybe, I think this would just be common. Maybe you just had a great deal of regret, right? That would just be, to me, about as common as you would find in a situation like that. Just a lot of regret. People have asked me, do you think he would still do it again? Yes, I do. Would they still compromise that selection as they did, being in search of a big? Yes, I do. James, so I'm watching the video, by the way, on Fox Sports 1 of the practice, and I have seen like 3 or 4 dudes that are always out with me at live shows. Just walk right by. Like Chip Ganassi, for example, is being interviewed right now. And I see like 5 dudes that just walked by that come out to every show.
Sounds like you should be out there right now.
I got to give a shout out. I just saw Derek Vance. I know this guy by Derek Vance just walked by. Derek Vance comes out to many shows. And there he was. That's pretty funny. Practice is going on. We got your updates as well. Well, Brendan King, who is staked out there. But now let's double back for a moment to what I was talking about. I told you that this was going to happen. You were going to get the sincerity of an apology and just the awful feeling that you have. And obviously, there's going to be feeling of regret that's involved in that. Make no mistake. I mean, hell, T.J. McConnell felt like he let everybody down. He didn't have a damn thing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. But he felt compelled to tell everybody that he felt like he let everybody down. That's how big that moment was. You were going for it. This all is dependent upon what takes place in the next 2 years. Let's just say, for example, we'll give the good and the bad. If they don't do much in the next 2 years, then this is going to go down as one of the worst of all time in this market. If they do live up to their expectations in the next 2 years, Eastern Conference Finals, NBA Finals again, then this will be, I don't want to say more easily forgotten, because keep in mind, you guys are all going to double back depending upon the selection and the outcome for that individual and that team compared to what the Pacers end up doing results-wise. And you can go back to the George Hill trade. Everybody brings up all the time, well, you could have had Kawhi Leonard. You should have had Kawhi Leonard. They had zero interest in Kawhi Leonard. Their interest was bringing George Hill here. And that selection that they had in trading away to San Antonio was the avenue to bring George Hill, a player in which they thought was a missing piece for that particular squad that did advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. But then you saw what Kawhi Leonard did, and then it became, well, they gave this up for Kawhi Leonard. They had no idea. San Antonio wanted Kawhi Leonard. The Pacers wanted George Hill. So this will be evaluated about 19,000 different times moving up to. But again, the best way that you can sidestep criticism and the I told you so approach that most will have regarding all this will be to, in the next 2 years, live up to the expectations. And as I set that, those are the expectations. And that's why when we talk to Chad Buchanan coming up here in the 5 o'clock hour, this is why you have to use all means necessary. So nobody's really going to want to hear anything about luxury taxes and how much you're spending and what you have. You've got to do what you can. With the rules, the financial rules that are provided, nobody's going to want to hear about your financial situation. You got to provide, and this is ownership, organizationally speaking, you have to provide what is best for this team to succeed, because that's also a part of this equation. You gamble and you lose. But remember, Rick Carlisle was on with the morning show and talked about all the options they had if things didn't work out to their advantage. Chad Buchanan told me 2 weeks ago the same thing. Well, that cannot be empty promises or empty words. There has to be something behind that. So when people bring up, do you think they're going to go into the luxury tax? I think they're going to do, and they should do, and they owe it to you to do whatever means are necessary. So if that's it, that's it. And I mean, hell, they're right there anyway, so they're probably going to have to regardless. But we'll talk to Chad about some of the options that they have that maybe we really don't understand that he does. So we'll ask about the options, and while they're not going to, or he's not going to specify what player we're talking about, or he's talking about, or they need, you can certainly analyze what is necessary. He can tell us what is necessary, and then we can just create in our mind what you might be able to find out there. The next 2 years, it was going to be important anyway. But you had a little bit more of a fail-safe if you had a lottery selection to lean on past that 2-year window. Now, the way that you look at it, it certainly does view much more as FUBAR than anything else after 2 years. So you really have to make the next 2 seasons count. And there are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Elvis writes this, JMV, if the Pacers have a so-so season with Haliburton trying to get back into form next year and end up with the play-in game and lose, they will have a chance to win the draft lottery. And with the way the rules change next year, like the NBA would ever do that for the Pacers. I'm going to tell you this, though, Elvis. It is tough. There are a million different scenarios we can go over right now. The easiest for me to present is that my belief in Haliburton is rewarded with a fantastic season and a fantastic couple of years. Like, all these things may come into play. There are a million options out there. As I mentioned, a million scenarios. But the easiest one to understand in the situation that we're in right now is for this team to go out and to live up to the expectations, to play in those expectations, to perform, and to show you the results. That is it. JMV, so if the Pacers had kept their pick, they would have no Zubats and the 5th pick. Missing out on one of the 4 best players anyway. I see no downside on how this played out. David Arrow, I will tell you this. Let's just say, for example, they get to pick 5th. They had the 5th. They would probably trade the 5th anyway. I felt, talking to Chad Buchanan going back a couple of weeks, that outside of 1v2, that those options were open with 3, 4, and 5. I'm not suggesting right now that this is not going to turn out to be viewed as a major mistake, but it's not a mistake right now. The only reason it's viewed as a mistake is because of what is lost. But that gauge is going to be determined on what is gained in the next 2 years. That will change, or either change the scope, or it will exemplify exactly why that trade was 100% wrong. Corey writes this isn't recency bias, it's just not revisionist history. 1 through 3 were the only sure bet prospects. The bitching and whining about not getting the 4th or the 5th selection is jackassery. If they didn't get 1 through 3, I said trade the entire time. Everything will be okay. Jimmy writes this, you're right about the huge 2-year window, but I think the Pacers are going to reload and keep this train rolling with Siakam and TJ coming off the books. A lot of guys will want to play with Tyrese Haliburton, who will still be in his prime. See, these are all things that I get. Those are things that you could spin into the positive. But what makes the most sense right now is to go about it and just to win games. And to have that great season. That's really, truly all that matters right now. That's what you have to do. 317-239-1070 is the number. JMV. I love cottage cheese as well. If you haven't yet, you have to try Aldi cottage cheese. Aldi cottage cheese is the Cadillac of cottage cheese. Also wanted to tell you that I love the show, and Indy is very lucky. Oh, thank you very much. That's nice of you to say. Aldi has the Cadillac.
I wouldn't know about cottage cheese. I mean, I go to Aldi's fairly frequently, and they're all right, but
all right.
I don't know about their cottage cheese.
I have, and this is for those out there that, much like me, are members of and lovers of cottage cheese, a part of the cottage cheese movement of the past 2 years. There's a new one on the market. We've discussed oftentimes good culture, and you know how much that we have mentioned cottage cheeses in the past here. Daisy brand, for example. There is a new one out there as of April. It is called Mulu. You guys can look up Mulu. Mulu is 18 grams of protein, and that is the magic word among those that want to get into or trying to stay into or maintain shape. 18 grams of protein in Mulu. That's M-U-L-U cottage cheese. And I believe that was just unleashed going back to April. And you can find that at your favorite Walmart location. Mulu. And I've had it, and I have it at home right now. It's legit. Yeah, there's a reason why that is pretty good. It is Mulu. Hey, JMV, so I was watching those NBA postseason games last night. You were absolutely right. Incredible boredom. Did you guys watch the act of the Pistons? And I know that you had a record-breaking second half from Donovan Mitchell. 39 in the second half, which tied a half of play scoring record held by, are you guys ready? Former Georgetown Hoya and Golden State Warrior point guard, maybe not point guard, but just guard in general, Eric Sleepy Floyd. 43 for the game from Mitchell. That was 39 in the second half. He was absolutely dismal in the first, exploded in the second. But more the point was just how bad the Pistons were. The Pistons were better down the stretch when they had their backups in. Because if you watched that last night, Cleveland, the Pistons cut the lead down to, 9 or 8, and then Kenny Atkinson ended up reinserting his starting lineup after taking it out. You guys are all going to giggle about that. 112-103 is the final with the Cavaliers and the Pistons. That series now, Eastern Conference semifinals, tied at 2 games apiece. The Thunder dispose in 4 straight of the Lakers, 115-110. Is this the final LeBron James? There's no way, right? He's still way too good to be his final game. It was on Amazon Prime last night. Lord have mercy. Amazon Prime. They put that on Amazon Prime because it was going to be so boring. And really, the Cavaliers and the Pistons were probably as boring as that. Amazon Prime. I think that's one hell of a way to go out if you're LeBron James. Go out on Amazon Prime. I will say this. That is going to be your future. We're all going to be scuffling to find out what streaming service we have to buy to watch our favorite teams, games, and events. We're already like half-assedly there right now. We're going to be there full way, full ass here pretty soon. Mark my words. One game later on tonight, the Timberwolves and the Spurs. I will say this about Victor Wembanyama. We didn't get much into that yesterday with the elbow to Naz Reid in his neck, which was major. I didn't think he needed to be suspended for another game. I think getting bounced out of that game was enough, but that was certainly worthy of getting bounced. That was an elbow right to the neck. Timberwolves and Spurs, 2 games apiece. San Antonio, game number 5. as they say, pivotal game number 5 later on tonight at 8 o'clock. That's NBC, I believe, tonight, right? NBC and Peacock. I'm going to have to go to Amazon Prime to find that bad boy.
NBC and Peacock.
Gutshot chimes in. The best thing about retirement is having more time to do things you like. Unfortunately, you also have more time to listen to you. Good. Dial us in. Hey, get one of those little things. Give me some credit for dialing in too, Gutshot. You owe me that. You remember, Gutshot, when I bought you that meal at Sullivan Steakhouse, and then hell, the place almost burned down, I think, over the weekend. What the hell's going on around here? Get that little device. Help a guy out. Come on. JMV, I feel much better about having Zubats and not the 5th selection than having the 5th selection and no Zubats. I think people would feel way worse about the team right now if they didn't have Zubats but still had the 5th selection. Sean brings up a good point. What Pacer fans would you feel better about? The 5th selection and no Zubats? Or Zubats and no 5th selection? And in this question, you cannot have both. What would you feel better about? 239-1070. That on the other side. Greg Rakestraw on the other side. We'll talk about practice number 1 going on right now out on IMS. We'll get you updated on that as well. And you will not want to miss Pacers General Manager Chad Buchanan coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. The Hensley Legal Group Command Center. It happens. Hire Hensley. Thank you all for joining us. Friday's show is going to be live in Speedway. We're going to be at O'Reilly's. Cannot wait to see you there. And then obviously race weekend starting with Carb Day is going to be spectacular. All those details and then some coming up. But with the weather the way that it is, absolutely perfect outside, Fox 59 presents us a weather update. Got a great spot, the District Tap. Actually, 2 great spots. District Tap downtown, District Tap on the north side of Clearwater Crossing with damn good food, happy hour specials, all you want in the entertainment, the atmosphere. As I mentioned, the damn good food, the happy hour specials. That's what you're looking for when you go out with you and the family or friends or the girlfriend, the whatever your significant other. It is the District Tap. So ask them about the damn good food. Ask them about the happy hour specials, not to mention the music. They have live music. They also have catering. So if you have a graduation gathering coming up or maybe a 500 party, they can cater your event. Make that thing spectacular. But if you're just simply put, having a night out, wanting to hang out someplace, if you're downtown, a block from the field house, the District Tap, Clearwater Crossing on the north side, also a fantastic location. My friend Michael has it all going just for you. To find out more, thedistricttap.com today.
The Ride with JMV. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
IMS.com, your Carb Day passes Switchfoot and County Crows a week from Friday. And a starter to a weekend that is going to be incomparable. You guys are going to be hanging out with me. You know that to be true. If you haven't heard the details, I will share them with you again with our Bronze Fun Time camper and our location in lot number 6 coming up a little bit later on. But get your tickets right now. That is IMS.com. Carb Day 2026. If you missed this, Big Ten basketball for the fellas. The schedule, the home dates, all announced. Purdue, IU, and more. We'll get to that coming up a little bit later on. I know that there are very few out there that really give one big fat crap about this, and I get it. And I am watching it and becoming more of, I guess, of a fan because Blake is down with the Montreal Canadiens. And because I like the Sabres as well. Rob Ray, I got to get Rob Ray back on the show, hopefully later on this week, who is the broadcaster for the Sabres. The Canadiens and the Sabres, Stanley Cup playoffs later on tonight with the Habs up 2-1 in that best of 7. Game 4. I'm going to say this. If you see that crowd at Rogers Center for Montreal and the Canadiens, it is absolutely insane, both inside and out. Much like everybody around here loves their open reel racing and their basketball, they love themselves, obviously, some hockey in Montreal. Sabres, Canadiens tonight at 7. Ducks and Golden Knights with that series out west tied at 2 games apiece. That is 9:30 later on this evening. Both of those games on a Tuesday can be seen on ESPN. Practice going on right now out at IMS. Practice number 1 on the inbound for what is going to be a qualifying weekend with a dynamic change yesterday in the qualifying to try to add a little bit of juice, impact to it without the bumping aspect going on this weekend. That and more right now on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. By the way, if you're on hold, stay right there. I'll get to your calls coming up in a second. But Greg Rakestraw is with us. So what'd you make of the new design of qualifying weekend coming up this weekend at IMS?
I understand it. I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of it, but I get it. You've got a 3-hour television window to fill. And if you're just doing the fast 12 to get down to the fast 6, you're probably not doing a good job of filling said television window. And again, I think there has been so many positives that have come out of this Fox relationship that I think it far outweighs the negatives. But this is one that I think probably, again, you're going through an extra and maybe unnecessary step because you've got television time to fill. So I get it. I understand it. I don't want to dwell on it, overly criticize it, but I'm not sure I'm the biggest fan of it.
Hey, Greg, I'm right there with you on that, too. It just seems like I tried to explain it yesterday, and it was like calculus. I was going, good Lord, can we make it any simpler than this? This is a roundabout way, as you rightly suggest, to extend what they're trying to do and bring a little bit of juice to something where it's just going to be incredibly difficult to create that.
Correct. I would agree with that wholeheartedly. So, again, the month of May is great. The race in itself is great. I think the series is in a good spot. But unfortunately, as it becomes harder and harder to get more than 33 cars to run this race, this element of qualifying is probably something that's going to suffer, unfortunately.
How many drivers do you think, how many hands does it take to count how many drivers could actually end up winning this thing?
You know, I think that number is smaller than it used to be just because of what Palou and his team have done. So I would put both the 9 and the 10 cars. I would put all 3 Penske's. Kyle Kirkwood of the Andretti Global guys. I would probably go 2 to 3 of the Aero McLarens. And then I think you're getting to a different group. And I'm, again, because of the depth of the series and how good the guys at the top have been, I think it is getting harder and harder for the one-offs to come in and win. The guy of that group that I think has the best chance is Ryan Hunter-Reay because of what he has done in recent years and the team that he is with. But I thought we had a kind of an era where we almost had like 12 to 15 guys that you'd have a legit chance to win this race. I think that number's down to 8 to 10 at this point going into this month of May, John.
Would you consider Sato with an opportunity?
Yes. I just know, again, the Ray Haliburton Landing team is doing better. They have always tended to fare better on the road course at IMS as of late than in terms of the oval. Again, Sato will give himself a chance. I just don't know that, again, having to run the full 200 laps and a guy that does this now once a year. So probably a better chance than I'm giving him, and probably the names that I didn't mention, John, as good of a chance as anybody would have.
Mention your schedule coming up this weekend, because I'm assuming you're going to be doing a lot out there.
I am. Now, I am taking a little bit of downtime to go be a dad and watch my daughter's final choir performance of her freshman year at North Central. So normally I would have qualifying on Saturday afternoon. I'm not doing that. I am doing the post-race show on Saturday night. Then I will have 4 hours of coverage as we are live noon to 4 from the track on Sunday, leading into said 3 hours of quals from 4 o'clock until 7 o'clock. So it's not exactly a JMV takeover, but it is a similar amount of time, albeit spread out over 2 days.
It is Greg Rakestraw who's joining us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. All right, you don't necessarily you focus and you watch, but it's not a discipline in which you have a great deal of hardcore opinions on. But with the lottery and knowing what you know about those available players coming out of college this year that are going to be draftable, how did you view the disappointment that was for the Pacers in Chicago on the NBA draft lottery this past Sunday?
A disappointment, a missed opportunity, but not some sort of cataclysmic mistake, as others have tried to paint this into a corner. I think clearly Kevin Pritchard and Chad Buchanan and company basically said, all right, the cutoff of the guys that we think are difference makers at the top of the draft, or guys that will fill a need that we would have in the next couple of years, ended at 4. In other words, meaning the Pacers really weren't looking for more guard help. Clearly don't need more point guard help. That's seemingly what the guys at 5, 6, and 7 are going to be. So to get the guy that they thought was the best available fit at center, and in a market where it's tough to find guys to find, they'll need a true 5, but a guy that can be a 5. That was the glaring need after Myles surprised him and took the Milwaukee money during the course of the offseason. This was a calculated risk. So it was a risk that didn't end up panning out in terms of having your cake and eating it too, having that trade, getting a draft pick for this bad season. But at the same time, if you look at what that rotation looks like healthy for the next couple of years, do I think the Indiana Pacers go right back to where they were, being the best team in the Eastern Conference at this time last year? I absolutely think that is possible, John. So I thought the first word you said was the most important word, disappointed. Yes, disappointed that an A.J. DeBanza or a Darren Peterson or a Cameron Boozer or even a Caleb Wilson aren't going to play for the Indiana Pacers. That's disappointing. But is this some sort of misstep that is going to set this franchise back for a generation? No, John, I don't think that's the case.
It is Greg Rakestraw on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, the voice of the Indy 11. And I want to ask you this because I think we're around 30 days out from the World Cup and, of course, hosting the World Cup here in the United States. A little thumbnail sketch for Team USA and your expectations for it, for those of us out there that may not be completely dialed in, not only at this time, but even moving forward.
I think they should get out of their group. I think they have a chance to win their group. You do get the benefit of the doubt when you're a host nation. You are put, the best way to describe this would be seeding. The way they say it in soccer is pots that you're in. You get drawn into, you get put with like the best 12 teams in the world when you get to host, even though the U.S. would be just outside of that. The FIFA World Rankings kind of have us 15th or 16th, where we'd be kind of at a 2 line if you have 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds in the 12 different groups, with it being a 48-team World Cup. We get the benefit of a bit of an easier schedule because of the group that we are in. I wish the team was in a bit of a better spot, to be honest with you. You know, we've kind of had this generation that things went so bad in 17 and 18. We missed the World Cup in Russia. Then you kind of have COVID hit. We've never had players that are playing at a higher level of club across the pond than we have now. You know, whether it's Pulisic at AC Milan, whether it's guys that are playing for teams that are playing deep into the Champions League season, we've never been better. But there seems to be a kind of spirit and togetherness that seems to be missing on the men's national team that we had 20 to 24 years ago when guys were largely playing in Major League Soccer. So our talent's better. I'm not sure our team is better. But what I am hoping for is that talent coalesces to meet the moment. Knowing you get to have this, you're not guaranteed by any stretch of the imagination, as a top international player, to get to play a World Cup in your home country. It's been 32 years since that was the case, and our group overachieved 32 years ago. I hope this group overachieves, and what I would say would be overachieving would be to win a round after the group stage, which, John, is something we have not done in 24 years since 2002, and the team we beat back then was Mexico. So my hope is that this group can at least reach the round of 16, which means they would get out of their group stage the first 3 matches and at least win one more match. And then hopefully the spirit of the moment takes over and carries this team into the month of July.
It's Greg Rakestraw on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So the schedule came out for Big Ten men's basketball, and not so much the hardcore schedule, but the home and away games. And sure. I did want to bring this up, not so much going into that, but we saw this week the measurements for Braden Smith, and we saw that the invite that I think it started in Portsmouth for Trey Kaufman-Wren working out, the invite that he got as well. What do you think ultimately these 2 4-year Boilermaker high-level players land professionally?
Well, I think Braden Smith's a backup point guard. And again, we always are guilty of comparing a guy to somebody that looks like. We compare white guys to white guys, black guy to black guy, et cetera. But it's so easy to go look at TJ McConnell and go, there's Braden Smith, 10 to 15 years in the NBA as a backup point guard. But I do think that's what we're talking about for Braden. You know, I think for Trey, I always thought that maybe it was Europe or the G League, and he has fared well enough in kind of these early combine events where maybe, just maybe, he gets a roster invite. And, John, what I think the bigger picture trend is on something like that, I think we play the game at such a spacing standpoint and a pacing standpoint where skill possession or skill tends to win out over athleticism. And it's almost like it's a kind of a Bill Polian statement from 25 years ago, where we try not to get guys that are combine wonders, but there are certain like athletic benchmarks you have to hit. And I think that's the question for Trey Kaufman-Wren. From a skill standpoint, he's got it. And maybe there's only a handful of teams that he would fit from an NBA roster perspective. He's got the skills to play at that level. Does he have the athleticism? Can he develop the outside game? Can he be a pick and pop guy, not just a pick and roll guy? I think offensively he can play in the NBA. Athletically and defensively, does he have enough there to play in the NBA? And that's the question where time will tell. But frankly, I think if he wants to, whether it's G League, Europe, et cetera, I think he's a guy that can play for 15 years if he wants to. Just not sure it's at this level.
So, Greg, I saw this from Fox 59 in closing a little bit earlier today on their Facebook page. Evidently, the Indy Chamber would like to get the Indianapolis the nickname of Speed City, although Indy is the Circle City. Right. Why does this sound so ridiculously forced? And
right.
I guess I get it, because you get most committees other than really one together, and they're probably going to come up with something that's really not smart or bad or not of use. But in this case, it's already the Circle City, Greg.
Correct. And we're also known, especially the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, as the racing capital of the world, John. And I frankly think those two things are enough. So I'm okay with Speed City. Now, if it means we can drive faster on 465, I'm all for it. Even though we bumped the speed limit to 65 for 55 in recent months. But no, much like you, John, I'll have a get off my lawn moment. I'm perfectly happy with Circle City. I think that's good enough for me.
No, not Speed City for you. I have not seen too many people who will be down with Speed City right here.
No, Circle City works for me. And again, maybe I'm just, as I'm heading towards 50, John, I'm getting more curmudgeonly by the day. So
well, good
I think
luck.
Circle City's perfectly good enough for me.
Wait till you surpass 50 and get in this land right here. I didn't like it because they didn't consider mine, which was Arousanapolis. They didn't like that.
I can sense already that you're going to be a big fan of the new summer collegiate baseball team in Kokomo. Are you familiar with their name, John?
I am not. Please tell me.
They used to be the Kokomo Jackrabbits, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
How do you top that? They took a year off. It's a new ownership group. Their nickname, John, they're the Kokomo Creek Chubs. I think you'll be all over it.
Creek Chub. What is a Creek Chub?
Chubs. I really not. Somebody tried to explain it to me, and I've slept since then. I forgot. So they're located on the banks of Wildcat Creek. They're in Kokomo, but they are the Creek Chubs. And knowing the vastness and the intelligence of your listening audience, someone will get you the proper answer either in the FUBAR Lounge or via the text line almost immediately.
I believe once upon a time, Rob Deere, the former Milwaukee Brewer great, was the coach or the manager of the team up there. Was he not?
But the Jackrabbits, he may have been back in the day. I'm not sure.
All right, Greg. So the Kokomo Creek Chubs, well done. That's a great way to exit right there. You're going to exit in a big way. Well done.
Well, that's what I think is my, some degree of intelligent way of exiting with a sports arousal, which is what you're searching for each and every day on this show.
Oh, so Greg, our friend of the show, another Greg, says it's a fish, the creek chub. That's what he says. Yes.
Works for me.
Well done. Thanks, Greg.
You got it, buddy.
Greg Rakestraw on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. The creek chubs. Is it a fish? We'll explain on the other side. Chad Buchanan, Pacers general manager, top of the hour. Oh, don't go anywhere. You have to hear the 5 o'clock hour. I promise. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John here, and so spring. If you're still feeling exhausted, no energy, no sex drive, it may be time to head to Low T Center. Hey, 1 in 4 dudes out there have low testosterone. Let's do something about that. Low T Center can book a free testosterone test to see if you qualify for TRT customized to your body by expert providers. You can choose self-pay or insurance. You can even have your treatment shipped directly to your door. And the Low T Center has the highest quality expert providers and testosterone that you're going to find anywhere. They're going to tailor make that for you too, to make sure it is the highest quality of effectiveness. Put the spring back in your step. LowTCenter.com today. Book the free testosterone test at Low T, and you can get qualified for TRT, customized for you. Now, remember, choose the self-pay or insurance, and even if you have your treatment shipped to your door, it is going to work spectacularly for you. So the advice, head to lowtcenter.com. That's lowtcenter.com to book your TRT appointment. Do that today. You noticed it the other day, right? You noticed that the paint on your home is chipping. It is peeling, and you need to do something about it. Maybe it's not your home. Maybe it's your business. So residential, commercial, let's call upon those that can get it done where you don't have to mess with this and you have guarantees and it looks incredible. That's Rhino Shield ceramic coating specifically formulated for this unique climate. Over 1,100 colors, and you get a 25-year transferable warranty, right? So why not Rhino Shield? So you never, ever have to paint your house again. And you're going to get a great deal by listening to this show. 888 Rhino 41. Give that number a call right now. Mention that I sent you. You're going to get 15% off the regular price. That's 888 Rhino 41. Mention my name, 15% off the regular price. RhinoShieldIN.com, residential and commercial. Don't paint, no vinyl. Go Rhino and never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
The Ride with JMV.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, terrorist, and I'm after you, buddy. You're going to pay for it. Good night.
Thank you very much, sir.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Chad Buchanan, Pacers general manager, coming up at the top of the hour. Kokomo Creek Chubs. That's where we want to grow, way down in Kokomo. It's a great creek chub. That's a fish. Dave writes this. Greg mentions only 8-ish drivers can win the Indy 500. Indy is always unpredictable. Lots of pit stops, multiple strategies, and yellows. I'm guessing the number is higher. JMV, Speed City is accurate if they're referencing meth in the city. And they're not. You just do stuff that's unnecessary. That would be one that is incredibly unnecessary. You guys agree? Hey, JMV, do any of the children at the Indy Chamber of Commerce remember the popular promoted phrase, speed kills? And no, they were not talking about driving your car too fast. That's the common issue I have seen in reference to this proposal so far has been that of meth or drug use. So the fact that they decided to leave Indianapolis, which was my recommendation on the cutting room floor, is very disappointing. What I mean by that is not what you immediately think, but hey, we're just all very excited. Seriously, we're all how can you not be excited around here? Oh, I know you're disappointed with the outcome Sunday and the draft, Pacer fans, but aren't you still a little bit excited about the next 2 years? You know, as I mentioned, and I'll say this to Chad Buchanan coming up at the top of the hour, you have to go all out. Think about Otter and his speech in Animal. You've got to go all out. You've got to come up with a brilliant plan for the next 2 years, and you've got to go. It doesn't matter. Hey, money is no object. We don't want to hear about the old luxury tax crap or any apron, nothing. All out. That should be like you hear rollout all the time. Ludacris and that song. I forget what commercial. They hear it all the time now. Like all out, not rollout, but all out. All out, James. All right, Chad Buchanan, Pacers general manager. This is a conversation you will not want to miss coming up here at the top of the hour. Busy rest of the week, I shall explain. Thank you all for joining us. We've got 500 tickets to give away as well. Practice is ongoing. Practice number 1 out at IMS. Get you updated on that and more coming up. Do not go anywhere. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Oh, I know that you recognize this, especially on a day like today. Your outdoor living space is so incredibly important. You want it to look great. You've got to go with my friend Ron, and you've got to go with Premier Deck Coating today. Get a free quote at 317-696-4071. That's 317-696-4071. PremierDeckCoating.com. Virtually any color, and no matter how you want this to look, it is going to look even more dramatically awesome than what you think right now. Whether you're talking about your deck, maybe it's a pergola, maybe it's a fence, it's an outbuilding. I did it on the trim of my home. True story, I've got a brick house, but I did it on the trim of my home, and it looks spectacular. That is just some of what Ron and Premier Deck Coating can do for you. It is multifaceted. That's what you want. The versatility of making your home, your property, look even better. Get that free quote today, 317-696-4071. That is Premier Deck Coating, 317-696-4071. Get a 10-year warranty as well. You just don't have to mess around every single year with painting or staining. Go with Premier Deck Coating. 317-696-4071. That's PremierDeckCoating.com.
The Ride with JMV.
Awesome! Totally awesome! All right, Hamilton.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Bobby Marks later on this week from ESPN. We're going to be at O'Reilly's on Friday. Fast Friday out in Speedway. I'm going to look for everybody out there. I've got great deals for you. 500 tickets coming up this hour. Practice ongoing right now on this Tuesday afternoon out at IMS. It is our friend from yesterday, the guy that actually showed up on the show yesterday, Marcus Armstrong, is atop the speed list, James. See, that's what happens. You come on the show, you're at the top of the speed list. Felix, by the way, was a no-show. He's 15th.
So we're a good luck charm.
Do the math on that crap. And speaking of good fortune and moving forward with good fortune on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, he is a friend of the show. He's the general manager of the Indiana Pacers. It is Chad Buchanan. Hello, Chad. Good afternoon.
How you doing, John?
I don't even know where to begin on this. I guess I'll start. I'll start here on Sunday in Chicago. Was there a kind of a? I know again you gambled it and you knew that going in, and there was a risk here, but you and Kevin both looked, in particular, very numb after the 5 card came up by Tatum. What was that feeling like, just kind of living in the moment for you when that occurred?
Yeah, sure. You're hoping for the best. You know, obviously we knew the risks, but in the moment, it's definitely disappointing. You know, there's no way around that. You know, the way it was playing out up until you got to about pick 6, you felt like, okay, we got a decent shot. It's looking, you know, promising, but until that last card comes up, pick 5, and you see, you know, the Clippers logo, that felt a little burn, not going to lie, but at the same time, you know, the excitement about this group doesn't dissipate. You know, I love this team. I love what we have, and we didn't lose any of our core players to this group that we're so excited about. So, you know, the disappointment in the moment stings, but you're also, in the big picture, we're very excited about this group still.
Were there other options other than, you know, leaving yourself kind of open for, I guess I would describe this as a misfortune, the lack of luck that you had on Sunday? For example, Chad, other options that you could have made the deal that would have compromised this core group that you just described?
I mean, at the trade deadline, there weren't great options for centers outside of, you know, we had Zoo and one other option that were both the same price. I mean, to trade for a top 10 starting center in our league, it's pricey. And so we made the decision at that point, hey, let's be aggressive. You know, we've in building this team that we, you know, have seen so much success from, we've taken some risks. And not all those are going to play out exactly as you hope, but those risks have helped us build this team at the same time. And, you know, this one, we knew the risk with the ping pong balls, the percentages, that we were fully aware of that. And this was a group decision. This wasn't made by any one person. We were all on board with this. I know, you know, Kevin, you know, came out, you know, was very, you know, apologetic with his tweet, but this wasn't just Kevin's decision. This was all of us. And, you know, we knew the risk, and, you know, the disappointment not getting pick 1, 2, 3, or 4 is where the disappointment is. It's not giving up pick 5 because we're excited about Zoo. It's not jumping up into the top 4. That's where the disappointment lies. But this was all of us on board with this, and like I said, we're still excited about this group. Nothing's changed. You know, some of the other options, you know, moving forward, if you'd have waited till this summer, are going to require you, because of where we're at cap-wise, to sacrifice some of your core players, and we just didn't want to do that. With Tyrese coming back and Pascal still in his prime, we didn't want to keep the status quo going into this, you know, next year. So we're big fans of Zoo, still are, and that's why we made the trade.
You had mentioned that you were looking at a different pivot back then when the decisions were still being made prior to the trade deadline. What made Zubac, and I want to go right here, there's a lot more I want to cover here, but I want to go right here as far as what made Zubac to you and Kevin and to Rick and to the organization the major focus? What did he bring that maybe others, or individually speaking, as you just said, others did not bring to the table for you as an option?
Sure. I think that's a really good question. There's a couple things about Zoo that was really appealing to us. Number one, the quality of player he is. You know, the talent matters in this league, as we know, and where he's at age-wise, production-wise, contract-wise, you know, character-wise, fit with our locker room. There's so many boxes that he checked for us. And, you know, we've seen him play well as each year he's improved as a player. You know, this year he battled a little bit of injuries, both in LA and with us. But last year he was one of the top 20 players in all, you know, he's 18th in all NBA voting. So he's a high level center who's in his prime and ready to help the team compete for a championship, which is what we needed. And so that was what, you know, the big reason why you're attracted to him. And then on the court, the things he does with his IQ, his ruggedness, his physicality, his basketball IQ, his ability to screen and set other guys up with his physicality was very appealing to us, with how that fits with Ty and some of our other players. And just his toughness and defensive, you know, impact are things that we felt this group really needed. As we watch the playoffs right now, you look at these teams that are still playing, they all have very, very good starting fives. And you got to have, you know, 5 good starters to go deep into the playoffs. And we can't go out there with maybe a hole at one of those positions and expect to compete for a championship. And that's why we felt Zoo was the perfect guy for us.
He is Pacers general manager Chad Buchanan on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, coming off the disappointment of the lottery in Chicago on Sunday, and some thoughts on that. So 2 years coming up. This is going to be a 2-year window anyway. And we talked about that even prior to this 2-year window with what you have, because you had talked about believing you guys owed it to the team to give them another chance after what happened and we witnessed a year ago. So I want to start right here. What happens in year 3? And I know this is all predicated on whether or not you win or lose and the results of the success you have. But how cloudy does not getting that selection make year 3 and beyond?
Sure. I mean, you lose a potential, you know, we're not getting pick 1, 2, 3, or 4. That player you're hoping is going to be a big part of your core moving forward. You know, there's no 100% guarantees of that, as we know in this league and in the draft. There's nothing for certain. It is a strong draft, but there's no guarantees. But if you look out into year 3, I mean, we're always having to plan for down the road, but we're also don't want to lose sight of the moment where we have an opportunity with what's in front of us with this group. We have 2 years, you know, pretty much this entire team, our entire core is locked up under contract for the next 2 years. A couple other guys are beyond that, and we'll see how things go, you know, with this group. We're very optimistic. We love this group, and, you know, we're expecting us to, you know, assuming we have good health, to have a very good 2-year run here. And then we can evaluate, you know, obviously things change fast in our league with who's available and, you know, what happens with other teams, including your own. But, you know, we're going to see what it looks like with this group. And like I said, we're very optimistic of what these next 2 years are going to look like.
Did you and Kevin have dialogue after you found out that obviously you guys were not going to be making this pick and it was going to be surrendered to the Clippers? Did you guys have the dialogue of whether or not you would have done this again? Knowing the outcome that you have right now, would you have still pulled off that deal at the trade deadline?
Yeah, I mean, I've had people ask me that. I still would. I mean, obviously you don't like the results of the ping pong balls, but at the end of the day, if we had not done this trade, we would be sitting here in a very quandary of a predicament here going into this offseason without a starting center, without the flexibility to just go sign somebody without sacrificing our core. We wanted to keep our core of this roster intact because it's shown to be a very successful core, and to have to sacrifice that, you know, this summer to go find a starting center just only creates another hole for us, and that's not something we wanted to risk. Regardless of how it turned out, I would still make this trade. I'm a big believer in this group. I'm a big believer in Zoo. I'm a big believer in our coaches, and although it is disappointing not getting the pick 1 to 4, I still would do the trade over again.
Chad Buchanan, Pacers general manager. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So help us all out here. And listen, the fans took this hard. There's no doubt about that. I got what you're doing, and I understood the risk. Thus, I knew the possibility was there, and the end result was not of good fortune. But some of the options that you have, Chad, within this 2-year window, starting, for example, this offseason, that maybe fans out there don't know, don't understand, because I'm assuming you're going to go at this hard anyway in the next 2 years. I'm assuming you're now even more laser focused to do as much as you can to make this group in the moment as good as it can be. What are some of those options you feel you have out there?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're in a win now, window right here with this group, and we're going to be aggressive in trying to find players that, fit with this team that we can add to help us compete right away. By not having the pick, it opens up other options through, free agency. We have certain tools now that we wouldn't have, probably been able to have access to had we had a, top 4 pick, to go pursue some trades, to go pursue some free agents that fit into this group and, complement our core. And, we now have another pick in the future that we, by giving up this year's pick, we gain a pick in the future in 2031. So we have the ability to be aggressive in trades if the right player's out there to help this team win. And that's our sole focus is winning right now.
Have you identified guys that can help you right now? You don't have, obviously you can't name them, but I'm curious if you have. And then how much of that leverage do you have because you surrendered this selection? Do you have in trade assets or trade value that you can do and be motivated to do to make this team better in the offseason?
Sure. I mean, we talked all year about, every player in the league. You're talking trade opportunities. You're looking at the upcoming free agent list, and you're looking at where your roster has the biggest needs. So, here a big part of, the pre-draft camp here in Chicago this week, is meeting with agents, talking about, interest in our team, fits with our team. And I would say this, we're a very appealing destination with where we're at with this group, the style of basketball we play, playing for Coach Carlisle, playing in Indiana. They've saw this team over the last, the previous 2 years, the run they made. And there's a lot of interest from players and free agents to be a Pacer. So I feel good about that, and we'll just got to make the right decision and find the right players that, makes sense for us as a team and financially, and that's our sole focus moving into this offseason now.
Would you predict that you guys were to go over the luxury tax threshold? Is that have the assignments given you clearance or okay to do whatever is necessary, including that this offseason to make this team as best it can be?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something our ownership wants to compete for a championship. That's something we have discussions about all the time, and if it's the right player and the right contract, I think Herb and Mr. Simon, the family wants to win a championship for all of our fans, for this community, and we're going to be aggressive, but it's got to be the right decision for the long-term health of the team too. We don't want to do something that limits us moving forward, but we also want to make the moves that put us in contention to compete for a championship.
You are close to that apron, I believe, right? I don't know the finances of it, but at least I've been told you're close to that apron of the luxury tax right now. Would you at all predict that odds are that you will go over for the first time? Because this is something that has never happened. And there are a lot of people that, have drawn a conclusion that it won't happen again. And if it were going to happen, this would seem like a time. Would you predict that because you're so close to that apron right now, that maybe going into the luxury tax for the first time would occur this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very real possibility. Like I said, there's a lot of different moves that can be made this offseason, whether it be trades or free agency, that impact where you're at relative to, the luxury tax and then the first apron and then obviously the second apron above that. So you want to be smart in the sense and not, hamstring yourself by going, these aprons can be very restrictive on how you build your team. And so we got to be conscious of that. But I think, Mr. Simon and our all front office, or we want to be aggressive and try to put this team in the best position to win a championship, and spending smartly and wisely be a part of that. But I think we realize where we're at with our timeline, and for the right player, I think we're going to spend.
Chad Buchanan joins us, the general manager of the Pacers. How do the trade situations work? What can you do and what you can't do moving forward now? I don't have a very good grasp on much. Sure as hell not that. I'm curious, what are some of the ways and means you can use trades in terms of future selections? That's something I don't quite get, and maybe you can solidify that with the fans out there that don't get it either.
Sure. I mean, you have, one of the rules is you can't trade back-to-back years of first-round picks. So you got to be, you map that out and where your picks are that you've given away. You're allowed to give out, as every team has, future picks that they've either retained or traded away. There's a lot of picks around the league that have been moved by teams in the future. I mean, some teams are, almost completely dry of future picks from trades they've made. We've seen trades for other players for 4 to 5 first-round picks. You have swaps that can be traded. There's second-round picks, obviously. So there's a lot of draft capital out there. Some teams have more of it than others. We have a pretty good amount of draft capital now. We're only out, our first, obviously, this year in 29. We don't have a second-round pick this year, but we have draft capital in all of our, upcoming drafts. So we're in a good spot. For the right player, if we want to use our draft capital to be aggressive, we have the ability to do that.
Hey, Chad, it's funny now because we can use a hypothetical and have some fun with it. Would you think you would have kept number 5? Let's just say, for example, again, hypothetically, you have number 5. Do you think you would have kept that, or would you have been more apt to provide that in some sort of deal to make your team even better in the now? Was there any sense of an option you would have had there where you would not have kept that selection even if you did and were able to retain it?
Yeah, it's tough to know what would have been available for pick 5. I mean, we'll see. Obviously, the draft plays out. Do the Clippers move that for something? I think had we retained, the pick and we were at 5, we would have been very aggressive in using that, probably for a win-now player if it was the right player. But I don't think you can limit yourself, in the situation we're at with our team building to just say, hey, we're not going to listen to, other opportunities to help your team, even if it involves moving a pick in that range. So we'll see what is out there in, this trade market this coming, off season. But I think a pick in that range is probably going to have some value. I don't know what players are exactly going to be available yet. I think teams are just kind of feeling each other out right now to see what their goals are for next season, the off season, to know who might be attainable and what that price tag might be. But we would have been aggressive. Like I said, we've been aggressive building this team to get it where it's at. And, just because, this didn't work out from the pick standpoint doesn't mean we're going to stop being aggressive and trying to build this team.
I know this is more of a question for Kevin and not you, because he was the one that felt compelled to get on social media and apologize for the risk, and he owned the risk. I'd said this, Chad. I thought that was unnecessary. Well, nice. I mean, you own a situation, and that's great, and everybody loved it, and I'm sure the fans around here loved it. But I understood the risk, so I didn't think it was necessary, and I didn't want to see this thing get played off, I guess, further down the road as a sign of weakness or regret that you did that deal anyway. I wanted to make sure that you guys feel compelled to know that the risk was there, but there is no regret at all with the decision you made at the trade deadline, to put that selection in jeopardy because you needed that 5. And I just knew that a lot of national folks would take that a different direction, and certainly some have.
Yeah, like I said, this was KP, making that tweet. That was, he means it from a good place. He wants a championship for this city, for these fans, for the Simon family. And this was a decision we all made together. We feel bad that he's taking any criticism, because this was all of us in this together. This wasn't just his decision. So, we're a team. Everything that goes well, we celebrate together. When things don't go well, we stick together through it. And I think, KP is obviously, he's a very competitive person. He wants the best for all of us, not just our fans, but all the people who work for him, all, the players, the staff. Like he's constantly wants the best for everybody around him. That's what makes him such a great leader. And, I think the disappointment wasn't in, the trade. The disappointment was we didn't get, picks 1, 2, 3, or 4. And so you got to kind of separate. I think people talking out there, we're disappointed we got Zoo. That is furthest from the truth. We're thrilled we have Zoo. We're disappointed that we didn't get 1, 2, 3, or 4. But we're not disappointed in, the trade that we made because, we've, like I said, we're super excited about this team. I wish our season started tomorrow, to be honest with you, John, because I know our players are anxious to get going and, they're hearing people doubt. They're doubting us right now. They hear that. And this team has shown that when they feel like they're the underdog, they respond. And so I think our guys are going to have a chip on their shoulder all off season because of the narrative that, hey, we made a mistake and this team's not good enough. So, it's all determined on the court. People can talk all they want right now and talk about our team, but it's all decided in between the lines, and that, we'll see how it plays out next season, but we're very excited about this team.
Well, let me tell you this, especially the Eastern Conference postseason misses your squad. It misses it dearly because it was so compelling last year, and I can't even sit through half this Eastern Conference stuff so far. So it misses you and misses you dearly. Tyrese Haliburton, and I told you this in a text back on Sunday. The reason I feel like I love where you guys are still, even with that disappointment on Sunday, is because of what he brings. And while he's not a 30 points per game guy or a 15 rebounds per game guy, he is a make everybody on the team better guy. And in a league of individuality, he's a guy that makes everybody better, which I think makes him even more important. So I will ask you this, and, he's mentioned the fact that he's just now getting started with the 5-on-5 and trying to work his way back in. Where is his health right now, and is he on track to get back when everybody is expected? Because he's had the pitfalls of obviously getting over the Achilles and then the whole shingles thing. Where is he right now, and what's your expectation step by step coming this offseason?
Sure. Barring any unexpected setbacks this offseason, he's on track to be full participant and ready to go for training camp. And, we're going to have some guys, throughout the offseason in our building playing 5-on-5 that he'll be a part of those games. And I think he's chomping at the bit to get back out there and play. And, he's obviously went through some battles with the shingles, and, that's continued to, impact him a little bit, but that's going to be something he'll work through and be past and, be full bore, like I said, for training camp. And, you touch on the quality of person and player Ty is. We've been interviewing draft prospects here in Chicago, and one of the things a couple of the draft prospects, mentioned to us when we asked them, do they have questions for us? We interview them for 30 minutes and grill them with questions, and we ask them at the end, do you have any questions for us? And they all want to ask about Ty, because they're like, we've heard such good things about your culture and about Tyrese. Is it all true? And we're very, very blessed to have a guy, at the center of our organization who loves being a Pacer, loves being an Indy, who thinks of others before he thinks of himself. And that is a quality that is very, very hard to find in a superstar. And I think we all have to be patient with Ty coming back from his injury. If we expect him to be hitting the ground running from day one, that may be a little unrealistic. Coming back from a Achilles injury takes a little time, but I think we're very, very optimistic and confident that, he's going to find his groove and, really be back to, leading this team again next season.
Yeah, he is a different type of superstar, and I know a lot of people don't get it, but it is still true. And if I were a player out there, I would absolutely want to play with somebody that makes me better, and he makes everybody better. And I've cited examples. I won't cite with you on the show right now, but really good present-day examples of just that. And it is, simply put, it is a different asset for a superstar when you make everybody around you better. And that is his highest of quality out there, and that's what makes him so elite to me and so important for you guys.
100%. Like, players love being on the court with him. They love playing with him. They know he's going to get them the ball when they're open. He's going to play with a lot of joy, a lot of fun. He's going to build confidence in the people around him. He just exudes like good vibes, and that helps teams play better. It helps teams get through tough stretches. It helps them believe when things don't look great, because Ty's always optimistic. And that's a big reason why you saw, so many times this team has come back from deficits when it looks like we're out, because they never stop believing, because Ty is sitting over there and breathing that confidence into the group. And, it's a special, special quality that's just impossible to measure. It's just impossible to measure. It's very, very difficult to find. There's guys who have that quality who just aren't the talent to raise the play of everybody around him, but they have the personality, and Ty has the talent and the personality boxes checked, and that's something we're very, very fortunate to have, and we want to continue to maximize that while he's in the prime of his career.
This makes you more focused with that misfortune on Sunday to do absolutely whatever's necessary this offseason. You mentioned that with the players being downplayed about the expectation next year. As a front office, that probably makes you even more focused to go out and do whatever is necessary, including that of ownership to do whatever is necessary this offseason, right?
Yeah, I think the results that we saw, the previous two seasons is, put us in a position where, hey, this time, this group is ready. Regardless of how the ping pong balls would have resulted on, Sunday, we're still in. Let's go help this team compete for a championship again. We're motivated to do that. This group has shown that we should be motivated to do that. And, we're going to continue to look to be aggressive like we have been. And like I said, some of those aggressive, moves we've made and risks we've made have panned out. This one, unfortunately, didn't go our way with the ping pong ball, but that's not going to deter us from being aggressive to try to help this team win a championship.
I felt bad for TJ. He looked sick. Absolutely sick.
I did too. I mean, like I said, he's a competitive guy too, and obviously he has no impact on what happened on Sunday, and I think he felt bad, and the last thing he needs to do is apologize for that, because he's a big reason why this team is where we're at and as competitive as we are, and he felt bad, and like I said, this is not on him. He should not feel bad at all.
All right. Well, have one hell of a summer. We'll stay in touch, but now with the misfortune, you have the opportunity with some savvy to get yourself a little bit of payback, team and organization wide. So go to it. We'll stay in touch, but thanks for the time today. I appreciate it, Chad.
Thank you, John. Have a good one.
Chad Buchanan, Pacers general manager on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. He's still staked out in Chicago with a lot of stuff right there. And again, that is about as open as I've heard about the major option being that of the luxury tax, at least as I've been around here and can remember. Podcast 1075thefan.com. You guys can play off of that with Chad Buchanan right there. It's a glorious day in central Indiana with practice going on at IMS, and we need a weather update courtesy of Fox 59. Hey, John, for Premier Deck Coating, get that free quote today, 317-696-4071. 317-696-4071. That is Ron. We'll take your call. Get out to your place at premierdeckcoating.com and find out what you need, what you're looking for your outdoor living space, your deck, maybe a pergola, maybe a fence, whatever color. They have whatever color imaginable for you, too. And for your deck, we're talking repelling moisture, scratch resistancy, and it just makes your property look incredible. Plus, it's backed by a 10-year warranty. So let's motivate right now. Call Ron for that free quote from Premier Deck Coating. Do that now. And then, as I like to say, thank me later. 317-696-4071. That's Ron. And that free quote today. 317-696-4071. PremierDeckCoating.com. All right, got you covered. If you're looking for a new ride, my friend Eric Wilson is in Fishers. 131 is State Road 37. That's Andy Moore Buick GMC, 131st State Road 37 in Fishers. As I mentioned, why? Because they have what you're looking for right here. So summertime may be the advantage that you seek, and that is a family getaway on the road. And you're looking for something for the entirety of the family and all the family stuff on the road, too. How about Buick and an Enclave, the SUV in many different styles that will suit you, and they have it for you. The inventory, the incentives to buy, and the service after the sale. And the product, by the way, Buick is red hot right now. And among the SUVs out there, one of the most popular is the Enclave. I'm telling you, you'll love it. The Buick Enclave in different styles, whatever suits you and the family. You're going to find that in great deals right now with my friend Eric Wilson and Rob and the gang at Andy Moore Buick GMC. Tell them I sent you. 131st State Road 37 in Fishers.
The Ride with JMV.
It's called Sex Panther by Odeon. It's illegal in 9 countries.
It's quite pungent. It stings the nostrils.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
500 tickets right here. Number 30 on the text line at 317-239-1070. Who wants some 500 tickets for you? 317-239-1070. And I'll see you out there. The race weekend is going to be spectacular for us all. Number 30 at 317-239-1070. You will win 500 tickets. And remember that I'm going to be out there from Carb Day all the way through. And we're going to have the Bronze Fun Time Camper. Our RV is going to be staked out. It is right across, basically from the Yard of Bricks, right across Georgetown in Lot 6. And the best part about that is you're going to have complete accessibility. A year ago in the Coke lot, while I loved it, you had to have a wristband. Here, it is all wide ass open for you to join us, and we're going to have the JMV Takeover, which is live out in Lot 6 the night before the 500. That is 6 hours of all request music. DJ Skids is going to plug in and take your requests live out there. Actually, James, I forgot. I was going to call Dan Pantos, who is going to be running it back here. I kind of wonder if Dan Pantos is ready to run it back here just yet. We've got 1 week remaining.
That might be worth checking in with him on that.
Yeah, well, the good part about it is he's a skilled jock himself. So if things go a little bit foobar, he can always take over and do it live back here. But Dan Pantos is going to be running things back here. It will be me and DJ Skids, and Doug Bowles will join us for about an hour out there. It is an all-request show we will be doing in Lot 6, right across from IMS. That's right across Georgetown Road. And I've got to give Doug Bowles a shout because he is the one that secured this position. We had like 3 different ones, and we had talked going back a month about finding one that was easily accessible for you. And that's exactly what he did. So the night before the 500, you can join us in our Bronze Fun Time Camper. That's Austin Braun out on Pendleton Pike. You can find us, bring chairs, blankets, food, beverage, and just join us out there. I'm probably not going to let you use our toilet. There's just something wrong with that. Probably not. You may have to go someplace else for toilet.
That seems like a very wise thing to do right there.
But it is wide open for everybody. It's going to be a great time. So hopefully if you win these 500 tickets, you will be a part of that as well. And that's what we do. We throw it out for the weekend. Every single time. But now this will be the second year consecutively we do the JMV Takeover on B105.7, the all-request show out there. But this time, DJ Skids is bringing the wheels of steel, so live requests out there. Going to be great. Again, that is starting Carb Day all the way through race day with us. Speaking of Speedway and IMS, how about Fast Friday? So here's where I'm going to be coming up this Friday. O'Reilly's Bar, Main Street Speedway. 3 until 6. We've got merchandise to give away and incredible food and drink specials. We also are going to be, this is with our friends from Zinc. We have New Holland Brewing. Have you heard of New Holland Brewing?
I have not, no.
New Holland Brewing. They're going to be serving up Tangerine Space Machine. Can you look all these up? Tangerine Space Machine. That sounds like a very fruitful sounding beer. Tangerine Space Machine. This is Friday.
Yes, this is a hazy IPA. It looks very citrusy.
Hazy IPA. Tangerine Space Machine. Full Circle Kolsch. Again, from New Holland Brewing. Full Circle. Is this like New Holland, Michigan, maybe? Is this a Michigan brand? Full Circle Kolsch. What's this look like?
It's an ale, it says. It's a spring and summer seasonal release.
All right, then.
It's a very clean and crisp Kolsch-style ale, is what the description says.
Poet Oatmeal Stout.
That sounds really heavy.
And Lake Life Vodka Day Drinks. This is all from New Holland Brewing. And we're going to have that for you out there at O'Reilly's Irish Bar. That's Main Street and Speedway coming up on Friday. So, yeah, you and all your friends on Fast Friday, O'Reilly's Irish Bar, Main Street in Speedway. Hopefully that sounds like one hellaciously awesome time for you. Does for me. Yeah, Chad Buchanan was really good. Podcast 1075, thefan.com. Hopefully you caught either all of that or you can double back and catch it once again. JMV, I'm 100% behind the Pacers trade. The trade did not cost them a top 4 selection. It cost them number 5. No guarantee that pick turns out to be any good. We have seen that many times. Seltzer out. I tell you what, Jeff, here's what I want to say regarding that. To me, it is more of either A, bridging the gap or having that as an asset. And I make fun of asset commentary where you're trying to get trade assets or trade value or draft capital. You know, I make fun of all that nerdery. But it is still important, and you still want that as an asset. And not having that sucks. No matter how you look at it, whether it's the player itself, the drafted player at number 5, or just the value of that to do something with it. So, as I mentioned, I don't mind in the 2-year window, I'm golden. Because I completely agree. You want to see what this team has to offer. As Chad mentioned, we owe it to this group. We believe in this group in the next 2 years especially. I get that. Where things get cloudy would be year 3 and then after. That's where things get a little weird. And that's why you have to show results in 2 years to make up for, unless you've got good fortune and savvy moves, which maybe you could. But things look much cloudy. And that also is going to be reliant on the shoulders of Ivica Zubac in what he shows in results, what he does. A lot of have to in that. James, Holland, Michigan. Brewing in town. That is the New Holland Brewing Company, Holland, Michigan.
Up there in Michigan. Nice.
JMV, as much as you know where this is going right here. As much as Michigan sucks as a state, there's some pretty solid beer coming out of there.
I knew someone was going to say something.
No, man. Make fun of Michigan all the time. JMV, number 5 is a trade for a starter, something the Pacers need, period. He was not, number 5 to me was not going to start here. I'm not suggesting, Brian, that you're wrong about the criticism of losing that. And again, the regret you may have, the disappointment that you clearly have. But I'm not sure that number 5 was going to be a starter anyway. But it was going to be still for the now, and it was going to bridge the gap. And that is just an option you no longer have. And that's brutal. Agreed with that. Shout out to Jim McCann in Southern California saying, go Habs, go Canadians, and the Sabres coming up from Montreal later on tonight. That is game number 4. 2-1 right now in the Stanley Cup postseason between Montreal and Buffalo, with the Canadians up 2-1. Game number 4 coming, I think 7:30 tonight in Montreal is for that. All right, quick break. We'll come back. Final time with you guys. If you're on hold, we'll get to you. If not, we'll set the pace for tomorrow and later on this week at O'Reilly's and Speedway. That and more. The Hensley Legal Group Command Center. It happens. Hire Hensley. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Become a AAA member today. We shall take a break and come back with you. That's next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Hey, I was there a little bit earlier today. That's WeGrowHereIndy.com. Staked out in building number 2 of the pyramids. I went up there for a boost. A boost from my dome. A boost from my dome and my real hair growth, thanks to Darren Andrews and WeGrowHereIndy.com. That's a part of now of the 9-year process. What that does is help maintain my real hair growth from the procedures like multi-unit hair grafting and artist robotic FUE, laser hair therapy, all at one place. That's WeGrowHairIndy.com. Give him a call today. If you want the option of your real growing hair, if I wanted to, I could Steve Alford that bad boy like his 1983 today. Parted down the middle, butt cut style, feathered on the side, comb in the back pocket. If I wanted it, I could do it thanks to WeGrowHairIndy.com. But today it was all about a booster. I do that. They do that if you want the option of your real growing hair. 317-522-2995. Make sure you tell Darren Andrews that I sent you. Again, 317-522-2995. Your real growing hair again. WeGrowHairIndy.com.
The Ride with JMV.
Are you kidding? You think I'd join this crummy snobatorium? But this whole place sucks. That's right, it sucks.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
And that would be very accurate for the Eastern Conference postseason. It really does suck. This is a good song, by the way. Romeo Void, James is playing. Never Say Never. I have to edit this song down a little bit. There's a little heeing and sheeing references in this song, James. Even going back to the 1980s when the whole heeing and sheeing thing, it really wasn't, didn't hear it too often. That was more of a 90s thing when you heard that.
Guess they got to be clever with it because it doesn't have an explicit thing on the Spotify page.
I think it's something about I'd feel better if we slept together.
Ah.
Yeah. I think it's coming up right here. I'd might like you better if we slept together.
Mm-hmm.
You ever use that line?
I don't think so. Don't think I will going forward either.
Romeo Void just can be an offering that is requested on the All Request Saturday Night JMV Takeover from San Francisco, California. The Hensley Legal Group Command Center. It happens higher Hensley, the AAA membership lounge via YouTube Live. Thank you guys all for joining us today. If you missed Chad Buchanan, the Pacers general manager, the podcast at 1075thefan.com. Check it out. Greg Rakestraw a little bit early. I know Bobby Marks later on this week. And again, as I mentioned, staked out at O'Reilly's in Speedway, which is coming up on Friday's show. New Holland Brewing and some of the offerings that they're going to have. Come out and enjoy it on Fast Friday. This from Jim McCann in Southern California. JMV, I'm pretty sure all of Indy is ready for your preview of tonight's Stanley Cup playoff games. If they're not, they're truly missing out. I don't know a great deal about it. I can't lie. I am bored by Anaheim and Vegas, but I am down with the Canadians and the Sabres. Dobich is a red-hot rookie goalie right now for the Canadians. And he was just incredibly tough in game number 3. And they're at home, and the Rogers Center is off the hook with the fan base in Montreal. But I also have seen enough to note this, that I don't think there's anything outside of Colorado and Carolina that could beat either Colorado or Carolina. And I'm not at all an expert, and I'm talking to people out there that probably don't care and don't know. I don't think anybody can beat either one of them except either one of them. Thus, I believe that is going to be your Stanley Cup final. Carolina and Colorado. I am learning a little bit, though, by watching. And it is always fun to watch something that is compelling, and I really don't have to worry about breaking down. And, I do that with Blake, and he enjoys it a great deal, so that's cool as hell. The Montreal Canadiens. And he should be, because I've sent him to like 2 games this year. He should be happy about that. Thank you very much, Jim, for that. 317-239-1070. JMV, I think fans keep glossing over the fact that we had no first rounder for the draft until a trade was made during the finals. Yep, we brought that up yesterday. That is true. I just think ultimately what you miss like that is what is going to be talked about. And now the only recipe, the only elixir for this is winning. Hey, I want to shout this out too. My friend Andrew Schwarzentruber, who is the owner of the Odin Meat Locker down in Odin, Indiana. I was down there last week. They are doing brand new. They're expanding. And they actually had the IU football team down there a couple of weeks back, but expanding. And James, he had asked me if I could do a live show down there during their grand opening. I don't know if there's anything that would be as tremendous as that.
How much buffalo would you walk away with?
Woo! Ooh, marinated turkey, everybody. And a shout out to Andrew and you guys out there. If you know the greatness of the Odin Meat Locker, especially leading up to a weekend, a long weekend, a holiday weekend, barbecues and such. They're expanding. Odin, Indiana, the Odin Meat Locker. Chad Buchanan, Greg Rakestraw, podcast 1075thefan.com. Back in studio with you coming up tomorrow. Thank you all for joining us. James, great job. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.